You're listening to Popcorn Unscripted,
the podcast where we dive into movies and TV shows with no scripts, no filters, just real talk and plenty of popcorn.
I'm Bailey.
And I'm Dylan.
We're here to talk about everything we love
And love to hate
in pop culture. So grab your popcorn,
sit back,
and let's get this show started. I had no idea what I was walking into when I went to go see Weapons this past Saturday. Well, I can't say that I didn't know what I was getting into. I knew that kids disappeared in this movie, but here's the thing. I didn't watch any trailers. I didn't have any background, no context. I didn't even know who the director was or what any of his work was, because I've never seen any of his work. Really, the only reason I knew about this movie was because Pedro Pascal was meant to star in this movie, but ultimately he had to back out because of scheduling conflicts with, I'm assuming, Fantastic Four, unfortunately. But this was a horror story unlike any other, and if you have not seen this movie yet, I suggest you come back to this episode at a later time once you have. Because I know this movie has only been out for, 2 weekends? Because this past weekend was its second domestic weekend. So, again, if you have not seen the movie yet, I suggest you go and watch the movie before you continue on listening to this episode. Welcome to episode 34. So, again, I had zero clue what I was getting into. I was actually on a date Saturday, and we had went and watched Weapons, so neither of us knew what we were getting into. And which, of course, I knew that kids disappeared, and that was about the gist of what I knew from this movie, and I already knew it was going to be scary, but generally, I think it's more of a thriller than it is a horror. There is some horror aspects to it, but I generally think it's more of a thriller than anything. But when you the title Weapons, it really doesn't make any which at first, if you look at it just bare bones, it doesn't make sense, because when you think of weapons, you think of like swords or guns, like physical weapons, but that is not the case in this movie. So the gist of this is that this woman, I'm gonna call her Gypsy Woman or Witch, or actually I should probably call her a witch, because she is an evil witch. But essentially she takes hold of these 17 kids and turns them into weapons. She turned people into weapons to do her bidding. And that's where I believe the name Weapons comes from, is the fact that she had took people and used them as weapons. And it was very, very, I don't even really know how else to explain it. It was just done in such an amazing way, and I honestly wouldn't have changed anything about it. But I will say this, ultimately in the beginning of production, when Pedro Pascal was still in, when he backed out, if I remember correctly, the rest of the cast did too. And so they pretty much had to start from scratch to recast everybody. And luckily, Josh Brolin got the role that Pedro was supposed to do, and he did amazing in this role. Honestly, I can't even imagine Pedro in a role like that. I honestly can't imagine Pedro in that role, because Josh Brolin did such an amazing job. I can't even, it does make me wonder what Pedro would have brought to the character, but at the same time, it was just an amazing. And then Julia Gardner did an absolutely amazing job as the teacher. The names are gonna blank because I don't remember, because this has been a few days since I've watched it. So, but yeah, so this movie was just amazing. Again, if you haven't watched it, I really recommend you do. Even if you're not into horror movies, it's just a good watch. And then of course you have Wong. You have the guy that played Wong in Doctor Strange as Doctor, and he did so well in his role too. I was like, oh my gosh, it's Wong. When I initially saw the movie, I was just like, oh my gosh, that's Wong. And it was really cool to try to figure out how everybody fit into the puzzle, just because of the way the movie was made. So as of this moment, it has grossed $155 $155 million globally on a $38 million budget. And honestly, you wouldn't even think it had a $38 million budget, but it did, and it looks absolutely amazing, first of all. And then, of course, I think at the moment it has a 94% on Rotten Tomatoes, if I remember correctly as well. But this is just a terrifying mystery and just a terrifying story. But it's so compelling, I think, because you follow all of these the stories of all these different characters and how they intertwine and weave with each other, and what each character's conclusion is to the story, which I think is absolutely interesting. Honestly, I feel like we need more movies like this because I love this style of movies just in general. So the movie opens up with like a little bit of background on the teacher and a little bit of a background of what exactly happened. So everything was fine, and then all of a sudden 17 kids just disappear from their homes at 2:17 a.m. Now, throughout the movie, I was like, what is the significance of 2:17? And then, of course, later on in the movie, you figure out that was just a random time because that just made it happen. But ultimately, it left behind only one student whose name is Alex. So the movie is set in Maybrook, Pennsylvania. So the students disappear. Everybody's in like a panic because the way that they disappeared was they weren't forced out of their homes. They left their homes willingly, and of course in the movie some of the Ring cameras had caught them leaving the house, but they disappear in the dark and you don't see where they go. And so there's no way of knowing where they went. And honestly, it was fairly perfect because she could have gotten away with it if the parents hadn't kept, if that one parent, I think his name's Archer, hadn't kept digging on information about his son, because it was literally tearing him apart not knowing where his son was, because which of course the son you find is awful to Alex. He was awful. He was a big bully. But anyway, that's besides the point, I think. But yeah, if he hadn't have kept digging the way he did, then none of this would have happened. The kids would have just ended up missing. I think the witch would have taken over Maybrook, maybe. I don't know. But the witch is very powerful, and that is shown quite a bit in this movie. It's absolutely, like, it was very, very crazy. So, the witch in question is actually Alex's great aunt. And she is the one that's orchestrating the disappearances of the 17 kids. And not only does she take the 17 kids, but she also takes over Alex's parents. Like, this kid was freaking traumatized. Like, I would have felt so bad for this kid. I would have felt so bad. But again, if I was in his shoes and I was his age, I would have went along with it too, because I wouldn't have wanted to end up like that. Because I think if Alex were to have disappeared, then somebody would knew something. Somebody would have known something was up, like, for sure. And so, which we don't find out that it's the great aunt that is the witch until like maybe halfway through the movie, which is actually interesting that they don't reveal her until like halfway through the movie. And I honestly, I was surprised they revealed who it was so early on after all. Like I'm surprised they just revealed it like halfway through the movie and you just had to sit there and watch what she does. And you do follow her at some point. You follow her. And of course, towards the end, you follow Alex's story and his side to everything that had happened. And it was just nuts. Like, this movie is just nuts. And also, if I do say so myself, the way the movie ends is, which of course me and the guy I was out on a date with, we were just sitting there laughing because the way the movie ends is like these so the teacher and Archer, I can't remember the teacher's name off the top of my head, but Archer and the teacher went into the house to see what was going on, to see if the kids were there. And of course Archer sees that they're there, but ultimately the witch gets him before that. He ends up attacking the teacher, and as the witch is standing there in the kitchen talking to her, Alex upstairs trying to fight back his parents, because, well, that's a whole other thing. I'll probably explain that later. But there was salt on the ground. He stepped over the salt. His parents started going after him to kill him. And so Alex gets away, and he ultimately gets... There's a tree that the witch had. And so he broke off a branch to use to... It was actually very smart of him to do that, in all honesty. I was very shocked that he did that. But he had watched her so much over this period of time that he knew exactly what to do. So what he did is he put his own blood on the stick. He took some hair from the brush that was his aunt's hair, wrapped it around the stick, and then snapped the stick. Then all of the kids started charging up the stairs, and the witch goes, "Uh-oh," and just takes off running. All the kids burst up the stairs, just start chasing her. Like, they're just running all throughout the town and throughout everywhere. It was just the funniest thing. Like, I just sat there laughing at it because it was just so funny. It's like, karma definitely got you. Like, good karma got her. So when the kids finally get to her, they just rip her apart, which is what she says at the, like, when you watch through Alex's point of view, she does say, like, I could make them eat each other if I wanted them to. And that's exactly what the kids did. They ripped her apart and ate her. Ripped her apart and ate her. It was just the craziest thing I had ever seen in my life. I would say that was very, very ambitious. And I laughed at that. Here's the thing about me is I have a dark sense of humor when it comes to horror. So like, that was just funny to me. I was just like, yeah, karma got you, like, down bad. Karma got you so bad. And it was just, I would say that ending was actually pretty satisfying. I would say that ending was very satisfying. And ultimately, Alex went to go live with another aunt and uncle for the time being. I think his parents may have went to the loony bin, because the parents were under her control for a lot longer than the kids were. So I'm assuming that their minds were definitely messed up. Now, whether or not they got over that, I don't know. We do know that some of the kids ended up starting to get over it by the end of the movie. Because the person that's narrating says, like, yeah, some of the kids are even starting to speak again, and there's no telling what they had went through, because all the kids did was just stand in the basement. That was all they did. They just stood there in the basement, motionless, couldn't do anything. There's no telling what kind of, like, thoughts were going through their heads. I don't even know if they were even having thoughts, because they genuinely couldn't do anything. Like, even the parents, like, there was a scene in the movie where Alex had come home and the witch was sitting at the table, or actually no, yeah, it was Alex had come, no, he had come, it was after he had gotten home and he saw all of that was going on. He said, like, oh, they're resting, and then he comes downstairs and she's sitting at the table, and that's when she shows him what she can do, and with the sticks and stuff. So she snaps the so she had their hair on the stick, and she put her blood on it. She snaps it, and then the parents pick up the forks and just start stabbing their face. And that scene was shocking to me too, because I was like, oh my gosh. It's like they can't stop it. It's almost like they had no feeling whatsoever of what they were doing to their own bodies. Like, they didn't have any feelings. It's like they were hollow shells almost. And that was, it's just crazy. But this movie is definitely not a slasher. It's like, it's emotional, it's fractured, it's certainly a thriller. I would classify it as a thriller, in all honesty, because it was insane. A horror thriller. Oops, boot my mic. Horror thriller is kind of the category I would put it under, but you can see, like, the trauma, the grief, the anxiety of the whole town. Like, even the whole town was going against the teacher, thinking she had something to do with it, when obviously she did not. But of course, people will be people, and, say the latter. And they just kept giving the teacher so much grief. Like, she was drinking herself to sleep almost every night, or she was drinking profusely. And there was a bunch of, like, subplots going on too, with her and the cop, Paul, I think his name is. There was a side plot with her and him, and it was just chaos. This movie was just chaos. And I loved the multiple. I loved the way they did the multiple perspectives. I'll get it right in a second. So you first start out in the teacher's point of view, then you go to Archer's, and then so on and so forth. I can't remember. All I know is that the last POV is Alex. And that's as far as I know. You do see the POV of the principal who was at the school too, who actually kept defending the teacher, and and all of this, telling her, like, that's what all of this is, and everything like that. So there's that too. And that poor crap. What did I principal. That poor principal, poor Wong. It was like, that was like the first time you had seen the power of the witch is in his point of view, I think. That was like the first time you had like seen the power of the witch, because his point of view is actually the first time you actually see Alex's great aunt, if I'm remembering correctly, because then you also have the perspective of Paul, and then you also have a perspective of the junkie that was a part of this story as well, where he saw things that he shouldn't have. Let's see, who else? Who am I missing? I feel like I'm missing somebody. I'm feeling like I'm missing somebody's perspective. I'm not exactly sure, but every moment in this movie hit so hard. Like, I don't think there was ever a downside in this movie. Like, there was never a down moment. Like, of course there was, like, some humor thrown in places, because you kind of have to have a laugh before you get back into, like, a horror scare or something. Like you have to have some lightheartedness somewhere. But it, I don't know if there's any moments that I can't shake. I honestly don't know what moments I can't shake. Honestly, I think one moment that I couldn't shake is when where that scene with Paul and the junkie, where he had chased him down and stuff after he was trying to break into a building. I mean, I could shake that off though. But that was an interesting scene, and I didn't really understand it either. What his big deal was about being stuck with the needle, like why he got so angry at the junkie for getting a needle stuck in him and whatever. Like, why did he get so angry? Like, what? Like, that makes me wonder. Like, now that I'm thinking about it, that makes me wonder if Paul was once a junkie himself, or if he was like on heavy drugs at some point and then he got sober and then he got mad because he got stuck with the needle that was in the junkie's pocket, and it may have had drugs on it. I don't know, in it or whatever. I don't know, but I'm confused why he got so mad. I'm just confused on that. If you've seen the movie and can explain to me why Paul got so mad about that, because I'm pretty sure that's just something I missed. I just don't understand why he got so mad at that junkie. For just lying to him about not having any sharp objects in his pocket. I mean, sure, I would have probably arrested him, but I don't think I would have went off on him like he did. I think he took it a bit too far, which of course he realized that after he had knocked the junkie out, but that's besides the point. I think another eerie thing is when Archer finds the kids in the basement and he's looking for his son, and then the witch just goes boo. Well, she doesn't go boo, but she like screams at him and I guess takes him down and gains control of him. I think that one was pretty eerie, was him looking for his son in the room of kids and not being able to find him and then just getting controlled by the witch. I think that one's pretty eerie. I also think the dream that the teacher had was pretty eerie too, because that's actually a popular image that I've seen everywhere, where Alex has like this clown makeup on and whatnot, and yeah, that it was just everything was about this movie was just great. And like, me and that guy I was out with, we just left the theater in shock. We were just like, oh my gosh, this movie was just so good. Like, it was just that good. As for, like, the performances of everybody and the style of the movie, everybody did a fantastic job. Julia Garner as the teacher, really, really conveyed paranoia and guilt. Like, she definitely portrayed that fairly well, which of course I watched her in Fantastic Four and she did amazing in that, obviously, but this is the second movie I've seen her in and she did an absolutely amazing job as the teacher. And I think she did a great job showing that the teacher did actually care for these kids and wouldn't harm them at all, which then again, we don't really know the teacher's backstory all that well. We do know that she had gotten into some trouble and she had gotten let go by her other school, and that's why she ended up there. But you could see in Alex's point of view that she did care for these kids and she did care for their well-being. And yeah, she yeah. And then you had Josh Brolin as Archer as well. He did an absolutely amazing job. Again, I don't know what Pedro could have brought to that character to make it better, but Josh Brolin did an amazing job as Archer, and I'm not gonna can that. I'm not gonna can that performance. That performance was just absolutely amazing. He nailed that role to a T. And everybody else did an amazing job as well. I recognize the guy that played Paul because he was also the guy that played Obadiah Stane's son in Ironheart. I recognized him immediately. I I don't know what other things he's been in. I know he's been in other things, but this is the second thing that I've seen him in, and he did play Paul pretty great. I think he did really good job playing Paul. As for I think his name is Benedict too, actually, but I don't know his last name. But I'm gonna call him Wong because that's who I know him as. He absolutely did an amazing job as the principal. Honestly, I think he may have had a bit too much fun running after Julia Garner's character. I think he may have had too much fun with that chase scene and actually chasing after her and attacking her and stuff. It looked like he had a lot of fun, especially when he was doing like the arm run thing that the kids had done. I think he was having fun doing that. Which, of course, when you're doing a run like that, how could you not have fun and feel like a kid, you know? But other than that, the performance and the everything is great. I love the cinematography in this movie as well. Some of the camera angles, like, are impeccable. Like, the camera definitely shows you what the director wants you to see. And that's what I think is really cool. And as you go through the different POVs, you get to see how everything connects, how everything happens, and why everything happens. Or maybe not necessarily why, but you see how everything happens more so than anything. But this movie certainly deserves the praise that it's getting. And A24 is just really hitting it hard this year. I think like A24 has been putting out bangers all year. Like I know you had Materialist. I know Baby Girl was a big hit. I think I never watched Baby Girl. I probably never will because some things kind of disturb me about that movie. But that's besides the point. And then this movie, what's another A24 movie? Eddington was another one. Another big success for A24. And yeah, so A24, you keep this up, broski. You keep this up. You're doing great. And I'm absolutely loving these movies. So as for my personal takeaway, I'm not exactly sure. I was just like, by the end of it, I was satisfied with how it ended. I was satisfied with it. I think that's what I was feeling when I left the movies. I was just satisfied. I was just like, dang, that was a good movie. It was just such a good movie. I was just so amazed. I didn't really have any other thoughts about it. It was just an amazing movie, and I highly recommend it to anybody that likes thrillers or horror or that is interested in watching anything with witchcraft in it. Even though this is like the dark side of witchcraft from what I know. But this is one of those movies that I think only comes once in a lifetime, maybe. That's probably pushing it, but this movie is definitely such a good movie. I don't even know where I'm going anymore. My brain's absolutely fried. But it was structured. The way it was structured is incredible. Like, I can do nothing but praise this movie. I can do nothing but praise it. Just go watch it. Just go watch it. Highly recommend you go watch it. If you can't watch it in theaters, then what are you doing? But go watch it. Absolutely amazing. When it comes out in streaming, please watch it. It's so good. So good. There's actually not as many jump scares in it as I thought there was going to be, in all honesty. There's not as many jump scares. There's like, I would say at least four jump scares in this movie. Which, of course, there was like a few that I didn't see coming, but there was some that I saw coming. But, you know, yeah. There wasn't really, yeah. I think I would definitely rewatch this movie again. This definitely is a rewatchable material. Um, but then again, I'm not one for watching horror movies by myself unless I'm just in the mood to watch something scary. But to those of you who have seen this movie, what moment got you, and when did it crack your heart? Because honestly, watching Alex's POV broke my heart for that kid. Like, he had to take care of his parents, and he had to literally listen to his great aunt, or else something was probably going to happen to him too. And that was just so heartbreaking to watch him go through that. Go through his day-to-day life and come back to that awful woman. Just to come back home to her. And it was just awful. Awful to watch that kid go through that. That kid is just going through so much trauma. He has so much trauma. Like, I don't even know. But yeah, if you haven't watched the movie, go watch it. It's so good. That's all for today's episode of Popcorn Unscripted.
Thanks so much for tuning in.
If you enjoyed the conversation, be sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at PopUnscripted, then Popcorn Cinema on Facebook.
And let us know your thoughts or any suggestions for future episodes. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out any future episodes. We upload every Wednesday and Saturday.
If you'd like to send us a message or subscribe for bonus content, check out the links in the description.
Your support means a lot and helps keep the conversation going.
If you enjoyed the episode, don't forget to leave us a review. It helps us out a ton, and we love hearing your thoughts.
Until next time, keep your popcorn close
and your movie critiques closer.
Thanks for listening to Popcorn Unscripted.